So this is a video that's going to be a little different than what I've been doing on Saturdays, which are my top 20 lists, specific targeted themes. Like, you know, we did leather fragrances recently, we also did the sexy fragrances, but today I'm pulling out 20 of my fragrances from my collection that I rarely wear, that I rarely pull for. Now, some of these fragrances I did at one point wear a lot, but some of these I don't really wear. I mean, even though I have them, I rarely pull for them. So if you want to find out what these fragrances are, my least worn fragrances, 21 of them, please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. If this is your first time landing on my channel and you love watching fragrance reviews, finding out about new fragrances, discovering new brands, and participating in giveaways and still haven't subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. And yeah, we do have fragrances in my collection that are hardly worn or never been worn or rarely been worn. These are 20 fragrances that I've probably spoken about or maybe never even spoke about at all on this current channel. Remember, I used to have another channel from 2012 up until 2015, so that channel is no longer, and perhaps one or two of these I've spoken, maybe three, I don't know, have spoken about them on that channel, but a lot of these I just don't wear, and I either wore at one point and or never wore. So why don't we go ahead and start it? I'm going to jump right into this one group from the Eccentric Molecules collection of fragrances. And we have the two fragrances at number 3, the Eccentric and Molecule 3. I rarely pull for them. I've tried them a lot, and it seems like, to me, as a fragrance in this collection of fragrances, whereas number 1 is the sandalwood cedar, and then number 2 is ambergris, which is ambroxan. ISO Super is number 1, and then in number 4 it's javanol. In number 3 it's a vetiver synthetic recreation, and to me it doesn't have that experience of wearing eccentric molecules. It actually really traditionally feels like I'm wearing a real fragrance when I'm wearing Molecule 3. And then Eccentric 3 is basically taking that one molecule, which I'm having a really difficult time remembering the name of the molecule, always do with this number 3. It's a synthetic molecule to smell like vetiver. Anyway, so they've taken that molecule and created a number 3 Eccentric 3, which is actually taking notes to complement that fragrance to make an actual fragrance. That's the exact idea behind these collection of fragrances. But I rarely pull for these. I mean, at one point I did, but I just forget about them because I love vetiver fragrances and I pull for them quite frequently, but I always forget about them. But if you wear these two and you love them, let me know what you think about them, and or if I should give more of a try and to appreciate them. But beginning with Eccentric 1 and Molecule 1, I had a difficult time with it, but I've embraced that fragrance a lot. And I also like Molecule 2, and I really love both Molecule 4 and Eccentric 4. But these ones just fall behind. So let me know about those two. And speaking of vetiver, there are a couple of vetiver fragrances here that I rarely pull for. One of them is Bel Ami Vetiver from HERMES, and the other one is Vetiver from LUBIN, the House of LUBIN. Rarely pull for these two. I mean, at one point I pulled for this one a lot, and I got tired of it. There's something about it in here that smells a bit burnt and chalky, and it doesn't do it for me anymore, and I just kind of leave it behind in the back of my counter with all my fragrances, and it sits there. Recently somebody actually accused me also on the channel. I'd done a vetiver fragrances video, and they accused me of losing credibility because apparently I featured this fragrance once on a top vetiver fragrances video, and then apparently since I didn't feature it on the latest vetiver video, they said, oh, well, you've lost all your credibility because you didn't feature this fragrance. Well, I mean tastes change. I'm human. One minute I like eating Mexican food, and the next minute I really love Italian food. So tastes change, and I've fallen out of love with this one, and I really don't pull for it much. But if you guys are fans of it, Bel Ami Vetiver from HERMES, let me know. And the other one is this one from the House of LUBIN. It's a very underrated niche house that was resurrected I don't know, several years ago, and they brought back their classic fragrance. I don't know, maybe they didn't bring back their classic fragrances. Maybe these are all new. But I liked it at one point, but it's just a nice vetiver. I just always forget about it. It's like, I have my favorites. I pull for my favorites. Like, my favorites happen to be Incident Diplomatique and Private Label and things like that. You know, Encre Noire. This one just always gets forgotten about. Le Vetiver from the House of Lubin. So if you are fans of this one, do let me know if you pull for it quite frequently. And I'll try and see if I can wear it more often. Now we're going to a house called Huitem Arts, but later it was rebranded as just being called Pierre Guillaume, and with 3 different collections, Parfumerie Generale, and then Huitem Art, and then there's probably one more with the blue bottles. But later it was all called Pierre Guillaume, and 2 fragrances in the collection, Myriad and Liqueur Charnelle. 2 fragrances that I rarely pull for. Now Myriad is a vanillic myrrh resin fragrance, really warm and cozy and resinous. I always forget about this one. I mean, there are those people that like myrrh and resinous notes and vanilla. This is very gourmandy, but with a resinous touch. And it's also pretty intense, like it's an intense experience. But nobody talks about this house. I rarely talk about it. I've forgotten about it, and it's behind the counter in my closet and just sitting there and waiting. So that's Myriad. I don't know if you guys are fans of this. Lastly, Liqueur Charnelle from this house. Another one that I rarely pull for. This one actually I prefer a little more. It's a boozy gourmand, like liquory kind of peppery gourmand fragrance. I mean, I like it a lot. It's just I don't rarely pull for it. I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't wow me. Like sometimes fragrances be like, wow, what is that fragrance? I really love it and I want to wear it. Or just fragrances that are like really good, but the ones that get pulled for more are the ones that are wow. If between the 2, Myriad versus Liqueur Charnelle, I do prefer Liqueur Charnelle, and I have pulled for it more than Myriad. But both of them I rarely pull for. Again, these are from the house of Pierre Guillaume, who owns Parfumerie Generale, and this is Huitem Arts. I think that's what it used to be called, but now it got all rebranded under Pierre Guillaume. So that's Liqueur Charnelle. So a couple of fragrances from the house of BOIS 1920, and this is Vento di Fiori, this one right here, and this is VIRTU, this one right here. So 2 fragrances that I used to pull for a lot. There was a time when BOIS 1920 were discounted at, I think maybe, I don't remember where, some kind of a discount website, and so I was buying a lot of different fragrances from there. And I have some videos about the brand as well, and there's some stuff that happened with the brand I don't know much about. But this one is a very, very soft Terre de Hermes like vetiver, not necessarily like sharp. Like Terre de Hermes seems to be sharp. This one seems very, very soft, and it also has a bit of a cola vibe, like a sparkly kind of soda. I don't pull for it anymore. I'm not that wowed by it. So that's Vento di Fiori by BOIS 1920. I don't even know if this is still in existence. Like, do they still sell this one? And then VIRTU was launched a couple of years ago that I liked, but I got bored of it, and I don't pull for it much anymore. In fact, the whole brand I just don't pull for much anymore, and I have some favorites. So I don't know if you guys are fans of BOIS 1920. I know their patchouli is very popular. They have some ambers that are really popular, some roses as well, but it's just a brand that is sort of underrated, and I don't know what's going on with them. But as I said, I did some videos with this house, and then I even interviewed the previous perfumer who is no longer a perfumer for the house. Enzo Gallardi, I think his name is. But anyway, that's BOIS 1920. A fragrance that I actually was told I should buy because there were some specials happening somewhere. I was told that it's going to be a really great fragrance, and never listen to somebody that really doesn't know your taste. Well, they said they knew my taste, but they didn't really. I don't know. Anyway, this is Chemi Chemi from Chemi, a Xerjoff Spring Off, or a company or a brand that's like a spring brand of the main brand. But I like Xerjoff as a brand, but this one just does not do it for me. Absolutely not. This is one of the most animalic fragrances ever, in my opinion. And I like animalic in light doses. I don't want it to be ultra animalic. It's got lots of gourmand notes, so caramel and just very, very sweet vanillic notes with like the strongest animalic smell ever. Ultra animalic. So I rarely pull for it. I gave some of it to a friend who we were going to shoot a review of this together, but we never did because she loved it. I have a really difficult time with this one. As I said, I love this house, the brand overall, but this one just does not do it for me. But if you guys are fans, do let me know. It's ultra animalic and ultra gourmand. Now this next one is from the house of ISSEY MIYAKE that launched sometime after they launched Noir Ombre. I had reviewed that in 2017 early. And then finally, like last year, mid last year, late last year, everybody started talking about it. But last year, I picked up another one from this house called ENCENS, this one right here. This one is in the same collections. It's a gold incense is what it stands for or translates to. And I never pull for this one. I mean, I just don't pull for it as much as I pull for Noir Ombre, which I think is a phenomenal scent for a designer. But this one just is kind of I mean, it's a good scent. It just doesn't wow me personally when I experience so many fragrances and I just deal with so many fragrances. Compare this to Noir Ombre, I think this one is not as cool, not as good. But then again, you might not like Noir Ombre and like this one over Noir Ombre. But let me know what your thoughts are. Have you tried ENCENS from ISSEY MIYAKE? This is this one and Noir Ombre never got a launch here in the States. So this is all about incense, but it does have some rose in it. And once again, it has a very Coca-Cola vibe. It almost kind of smells like gummy Coca-Cola cola gummy bears or whatever they're called. But anyway, that's my opinion for ENCENS. Now this next one is from the house of Jo Malone. It's very popular. They bring it back every year. It's called Bitter Orange. Rarely pull for this one. Well, actually, this one's probably a little better to me than the other ones. I mean, I pull for it once in a while, and I like orange as a scent, but something about this one is it doesn't go anywhere. It's just kind of like very, very linear, woody, creamy oranges is basically what it smells like. I guess it could be bitter. There are some bitter touches to it, but it's not like a wow scent. If I was to put together an orange fragrances list, I would add this in there, but it would probably end up in the bottom rather than the top because I rarely pull for it. Orange bitters, but if you're a fan of it, do let me know. Now this next one I had bought from Saks Fifth Avenue one time. I was kind of dealing with some sales associates there that are no longer there, and this is a fragrance that was like sold to me like, oh my god, this is the best fragrance ever. You've got to have this in your collection. This is amazing fragrance from the house of Baikilan. It has oud in it, it has rose in it, it has this, it has that in it. I'm like, okay, what do you have any special promotions? Oh, we have a gift card promotion, you get this and that. Okay, why don't we go ahead and get it? But I mean, I started kind of getting bored of it. If you can guess what I'm talking about, let me know. But the fragrance is Cruel Intentions. So this one, as I said, it's about oud, it's about rose. Rose is not prominent. It's not one of those rose and oud combos where the rose is like in your face, big rose. It's more about rose. I mean, it's more about oud, but the oud is actually a little gummy. It has like a very it doesn't come off very woody. I guess I should say creamy. There's like a creamy touch to it, and it's not like a dry, sharp oud. It's a very soft oud, which kind of like, it's a good scent, don't get me wrong, but it kind of bores me. I don't know why. It's like, I rarely pull for it. Like, I like the house of Baikilan, but my favorites from this house are Intoxicated, Black Phantom, Straight to Heaven Extreme, Incense Oud, Rose Oud, but this one, I think it's kind of boring. But if you're a fan of it, let me know. Next up, we're going to the house of BYREDO, which I wanted to really love this, and I was really into, well, you know me, I am into musky fragrances, but this one, man, it is a chameleon. It goes into really weird direction. Every time I wear it, it's like a different fragrance. The fragrance I'm talking about is MINK right here. This is a musk. When I smell it out of the bottle, it smells almost like Musk Ravageur from Frédéric Malle. When I wear it, it is such a weird fragrance experience. Like, even though pulp is weird, I really love pulp, but this one, I rarely pull for it because it just acts and reacts so weirdly on me that I'm kind of scared, because sometimes I can't, like, it goes into like a very musky aquatic direction. I don't know what causes that, but aquatic but heavy on the cologne dose, which is really smells like the sea, like a really sour kind of sea. So it just kind of turns me off. So it's a really strange fragrance. Out of the bottle though, it smells absolutely amazing. It smells like musk, like really beautiful, sexy musk, but on me, it's just all over the weird place. So that's MINK, but if you're a fan of it, do let me know, because I know there are fans of that one. Now this next one I bought in a discount perfume shop while I was in Luxembourg a year plus ago. This is Green Street from ETRO, and this one actually I really love as a scent, but it doesn't do it for me. Like, I'd never pull for it. There's I guess nutmeg is one of the notes, and there's resins in here as well. It's not green as in G-R-E-E-N, it's G-R-E-E-N-E Street. And yeah, it just doesn't do it for me, and I just get bored of it. It's like, it's not one of those fragrances that's like, wow, I want it. Like the vetiver from this line is amazing. I love the vetiver. This one just kind of just falls flat, but maybe I'll rediscover it, because I think the resins in here are benzoin, and hopefully I'll remember it and wear it, but smelling it on me, it just kind of falls flat. So that's Green Street, but if you're a fan of it, do let me know, because this is kind of an underrated house. I discovered it kind of late, and there are some great fragrances in the house, but this one just, I don't pull for it. Now this next one is from the house of LALIQUE, and it's from one of their more expensive collection of fragrances. This is Silver. It's a leather, but the name Silver is very appropriate for it, because this one is so sharply metallic. It's really sharp to the nose. So I think what causes that, in here there are notes like herbal notes, and with the combination of herbal notes with citruses, just goes into a very sharp territory. This is mostly at the top, because this dries down to a leather, and this was one that I thought I would really like, but I rarely pull for it. This one I rarely do, because it is like ultra sharp. If you don't like sharp fragrances, this is very sharp to me, and I rarely pull for it. But if you're a fan, do let me know, because I know there are fans out there, but this line, I don't think a lot of people talk about it anyway. Now this next one I really loved when I first smelled it, but I've not been pulling for it. And it is a patchouli fragrance. Like, I love patchouli. This is called Rentless from Lush's Gorilla house, or Gorilla perfume brand. Now this is a very to me it smells like resins. It smells like there's a Papanax in here. It's very resiny. It also smells like coffee. There's like coffee grounds and things like that, but there's like lots of patchouli in here. But it doesn't excite me that as much as I got excited about it when I first picked it up. That's why I just rarely pull for it. But I mean, the house is a great house, but this one just kind of falls flat. I don't know if you've familiar with Rentless, and if you've sampled the fragrances from this house, please do. And one of them that I bought, Cardamom Coffee, I absolutely love, and I wear that one a lot. But this one kind of just falls flat, Rentless from Gorilla Perfume. Next one is from the house of Robert Graham. I had reviewed the 3 fragrances from this house, but this one I don't care for. It's created, I think it's created by Alberto Moria. It's an aquatic, and it also smells like Acqua di Gio Absolu from Armani. Very similar, and that one's created by Alberto Moria as well. So this came before, and then Armani came. This one, I mean, just smells like an aquatic soup to me. It doesn't do it for me at all, and I rarely pull for it. And the other 2 in the collection, love, really love. Fortitude and Valor, and this is Courage from the Robert Graham house. I don't know why it doesn't do it for me. It just smells very generic compared to the other 2, which smell very niche. So that's Courage from Robert Graham. Let me know if you like the Robert Graham fragrances, and if you're a fan of that one, or maybe you don't like it. Now this next one is from the house of Tiziana Terenzi, which I'm a fan of, but this one, I don't know what about this one that just really doesn't do it for me. KIRKE, I think that's how you say it. To me, as I smell this, it smells like fruity, woody fragrance. Almost like the fruitiness is really strong. Even I had the bottle not to my nose, I could smell it from the bottle. It's that strong. I'm very sensitive to the smell of KIRKE. And it smells, to me, it smells like cereal, like fruity, Fruit Loops, things like that. So I don't know what it is about this one. I love the house. We have great fragrances from this house. La de Janeiro, Ecstasy, Maremma, Ursa. Lots of great releases, but just this one doesn't do it for me. I don't know why. But anyway, that's KIRKE. If you are a fan of this one, do let me know. I'm sure there are, but it just doesn't wow me. Now this next one I used to love, and unfortunately I rarely pull for it. But this bottle I've had since 2013, and it's almost finished. This is from DIPTYQUE. It is a Volute. It's a tobacco. It's a great release, but I've forgotten all about it and sits way in the back, and I never pull for it. I did use a lot of it when I first bought it, but it's been a long time since I've had this one. It's a very resinous tobacco with like fruity, like dried fruity notes in there. They used to have an EDT, which got discontinued, but they still kept the EDP, or the Parfume, and I rarely pull for it. Maybe I'll revisit it and keep using it, but lately I've been in love with Tempo from this house. Absolutely love that fragrance, but this Volute I rarely pull for anymore. I don't know why. Maybe because there are so many better tobacco fragrances out there, but let me know. Are you a fan of Volute? Alright, a couple more left. This next one is from the house of FLORIS. This is in the shadow of Honey Oud. It's leather oud, and I rarely pull for it. I had bought a used bottle, and it's not been finished. Now, it's a good oud, don't get me wrong, it is, but when you have honey oud in the collection, which it kind of also smells similar to honey oud, whereas honey oud has more honey, which just has sweet touches. This is more oud than sweet. Honey oud is more sweet and honey. Well, actually, it's balance of it, but I rarely reach for this one, and it's nothing like leather oud from Dior, to also let you know, but this is a fragrance that just kind of sits in the back and never gets pulled for, and kind of gets forgotten. And I was going through the other day and I'm like, oh, there's leather oud. Where the heck have I been? I forgot all about it. Anyway, that's leather oud from FLORIS. If you're a fan of it, let me know. Do you wear it? I mean, do you love wearing it, or do you prefer honey oud more? By the way, I have a comparison of honey oud from FLORIS and honey oud from Oud or Oud from Montal. Now this next one is from the house of Jeroboam. This is MIKSADO. Now I love this house a lot. I love Oriento, I love Insulo, and there are a few others. This one I rarely pull for, I rarely do. It's just a straight on woody, oudy kind of fragrance. I mean, it's oudy and it's woody, but it doesn't excite me. It's not like one that I gravitate towards over and over again. And I had bought this in Paris when it was first launched, and I really love the brand. I mean, I don't hate the scent, but it's not one of those fragrances that are like the ones that excite me a lot. This one doesn't. So that's MIKSADO. If you're a fan of it, do let me know. They do have a new fragrance out called Boha, I think, that I'm very curious about. But Insulo from this house is my all-time favorite. It's a beautiful, delicious, slightly boozy vanilla fragrance. So that's MIKSADO. Last but not least, this is from the house of Guilloume, and this is Habit Rouge Low, this one right here. A friend loved this one, so I decanted a bunch of it for them, but I wanted to have the bottle for videos, if that makes sense. I don't like to get rid of a lot of my fragrances because I want to feature them in videos, of course. So this one, boring. Like, what's the deal with this one? I mean, I guess it's not one of those fragrances that's really exciting. I love the Eau de Toilette, and I love the EDP, and I've smelled the pure perfume version of Habit Rouge, but never owned it. I wish I did. But this one, the light version of Habit Rouge, you already have that in Eau de Toilette. So this one just doesn't do it for me. But if you're a fan of it, please let me know. Also, I don't even know if they make this anymore because this is in their previous packaging. I'm not sure if the Low is available as part of the current redone uniform bottles that they did a couple of years ago. So this one came before that change up. But this is kind of boring to me. I don't really pull for it. My favorite is the EDP out of everything that I have. And I have the Low, the Eau de Toilette, and the EDP. And that's it. That's those are the fragrances that I rarely pull for, guys. Do you have fragrances that you wear that you rarely pull for? Or do you control your collection and keep it in a place where you know you're going to wear all the fragrances? But you know, when you have so many fragrances, you can't wear everything. Of course, I share my fragrances with family. My family has gotten more and more into perfume wearing ever since I got into this more and more. I mean, there was a time in the Middle East where we were always wearing them, but you know, when they moved here, they just kind of decided there's more important things. But since since I've gotten into this, they are also really obsessed with a lot of the fragrances that I have too. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. If you've worn these fragrances, or if you've not kind of fallen bored or fallen out of love with them as well. Put some comments down. One more thing, we're gonna come up with some really great videos for Saturday videos in the future. We're gonna do some seasonal videos, and I have some really awesome themed videos lined up, so stay tuned for those in the next several Saturdays coming up. But other than that, guys, please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.